Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports. Today is February 14th, 2024. Happy Valentine's Day to all of our followers. And this is Ben and Barry on football.
What's up out there, everybody? This is Ben Dickerson. I'm the co-host. Season's over. We love football, and we will continue to talk about football throughout the off season. If you've been with us for a while, you know that's our thing. That's what we do. Again, if you celebrate Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day to you and yours. And we got nothing to talk about right now but that Super Bowl.
I tell you what, Benny, how about I let you do your thing first, your summary, because you do a great summary. I don't know how many people have tuning in and seeing, listening to the summaries that you've been giving out all year, but I know you put a lot of work into them. And I learned stuff by listening to your summaries, and especially when you pick out certain things that people maybe have missed or just needs to be re-emphasized. Somebody really did something that needs to be emphasized. So congratulations on that. Do you want to go with that?
Well, I can go with that, but I'll tell you the truth. I didn't prepare my usual summary. However, I do have a lot of information that I think is important to, at least if nothing else, the way that I looked at the game. You know, after the game was over and I got back out into the public the next day at the gym, on the street, talking on the phone with friends, I got looking on Facebook, got a whole lot of different opinions about the game itself. I was surprised. Maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was in fact very surprised at how many people I heard say it was a horrible Super Bowl. I heard things like this was the worst Super Bowl I've ever seen. This Super Bowl was boring.
Wait. Can I ask you one quick question?
Sure.
Was this mainly Philadelphia fans saying this? Or
Oh
was
yeah, this is all Philadelphia people,
oh, wow.
mostly Eagles fans.
That
Yeah,
makes
mostly
sense.
Eagles
That makes
fans.
sense to me.
Yeah, all Philadelphia people. So I understand there's still some lingering bitterness that they weren't in it, but I'm I tried to get people to just let's just talk about this on a football level. Forget, of course you hear a lot of I could care less. I barely watched it. I don't
What have
care
we
about
said
that.
all along about Eagle fans? They're Eagle
Yeah,
fans first,
right.
football fans second.
Football fans second, right.
Even
So
get
I
to talk
attempted,
about football.
yeah, I attempted to bring the football fan, if there was any, out of some of these people so I could get a clearer understanding about what it is that they saw or thought they saw or what they were expecting to see.
Mhm.
Now, some actually broke down and said, well, the first half was boring, but then the second half was good. And then the overtime, I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen, that kind of thing. So, I look at that with a grain of salt. I don't worry about it. I didn't think the game was boring at all. I thought it was an awesome game. I thought that the Niners defense was extremely well prepared for this game. You know, me and lots of other people who probably gradually changed their minds over the course of the season, and after seeing what the Chiefs did offensively once the playoffs began, um, we realized that you couldn't take their offense lightly, like I thought we could maybe beginning of the season or mid-season with the problems they were having with the receiving core. That Mahomes seemed to have been able to overcome most of that, and Andy Reid, um, in play calling, play selection, scheming for certain opponents, developing Rashid Rice in particular into being a really viable target, limiting but still keeping guys like Valdez Scantling and Justin Watson and the other tight end beside Kelsey, Noah Gray, keeping those guys as viable, options. even if they didn't get a whole lot of targets, they made their targets count. So not that I was afraid of the Chiefs like maybe you might have been in the past, but again, I thought the Niners defense was extremely well prepared. They were especially well prepared for Pacheco. They kept him pretty much under control. They gave Mahomes a lot of trouble in the first half. They actually gave him a lot of trouble over the course of the game, but particularly in the first half. It was obvious to see after the halftime. And again, you know, we always talk about Andy Reid after a bye. And Andy Reid after a long usher halftime, you give him any extra time, he's going to come up with stuff. He might be the best in-game strategist there is as far as head coaches are concerned out there. I would argue that with somebody. If he's not the best, he's among the best. They obviously made the adjustments they needed to make, and things got really interesting in the second half. But again, I don't want to say I was surprised, but I was a little surprised at how good the Niners defense actually looked. And people are like, oh, yeah, they did this, they came from behind on them. They had them by 10 and they were able to come back and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. The score was 25-22. That was the final. And the game had to go to overtime to get it that high. That was a much tougher game defensively for both teams, actually, than I think a lot of people anticipated, including myself. If you remember last week when we did our show, I said I thought both teams were going to kind of flex their muscles in the first half, and the winner of the game, it would probably come down to a mistake at the end or near the end of the game, or one defense actually imposing their will on the other team. But I didn't think it was going to happen until we came down to the stretch to the end of the game, and then one of those defenses was going to actually step up and make the big stop that would actually win the game for the team. That happened from the beginning of the game. Both defenses were really playing extremely well. How somebody can see that as a boring, I don't understand. I just don't. Maybe it's me. I don't know. I just don't understand how people can see it that way. What do you think?
Again, just going back to if you're not a football fan, then you know that's why they made the rules changes so that they would score more points for those people who were like not hardcore football fans who didn't appreciate the Steelers. What was it? The
Steel curtain.
Steel curtain and something like that. You know what I mean? As being, I mean, you see whose jersey I got hanging in this back there for inspiration. But so again, and we're in Philly. For example, let me give a positive shout out to Coach Eric Richardson, who just announced that he was retiring from coaches. He's been one of the coaches over at Imhotep High School, which has just been a powerhouse in football.
Right.
And he decided to retire. But he also decided to put out a post on Facebook something about where all the Niners or something like that. I'm like, right here, I don't even normally respond. I was surprised it was him. Well, in a way, I was surprised it was him in the way I wasn't. He's an Eagle fan.
Obviously, so he's caught up.
So he's caught up in all of that. And this is what I want to respond to. We're right here. Go Niners. Sounds much better to be going for the quest for 6 than the quest for 2.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I really shouldn't even came back like that. I should have left it alone. But I thought that
you and I both try to do that. We do try to do that because for some strange reason, I guess it's not just we probably see it so much because we live here in Philadelphia. But for some strange reason, Eagles fans rooting for their team is not good enough. They've got to trash other teams. Here's a game you weren't even involved in. But you got it. They're still talking about the Niners crying because Purdy got hurt last season.
And like I said, you know, a player makes one quote and then they play it 1,000 times, and now you're talking about the team or that they kept saying it. No, they didn't. They, you know, so
Right.
so yeah. I mean, again, just
Now you're the whiners instead of the Niners.
I
But
I'm gonna throw somebody else out there who doesn't listen to the show, so we can talk about my man Barry, who works over at the Fresh Grocer.
okay.
He's hilarious. He's hilarious. He's one of those guys that works somewhere that makes more noise than everybody else, but it's okay. It's Barry, right?
Right.
Eagle fan. You watching the game, Barry? I ain't interested in watching it. I'm like, come on, man. It's on a football level. You gotta,
Yeah, don't you like football?
I ain't like it. You know what I mean? And my son's girlfriend. I hope both teams lose. Like,
That's yo, how that's petty, yo.
how are you even going there? Wait, you actually posted that. I can't even say nothing back to that. I just left that one alone. So I think all of that's hilarious. I have thoughts on the game, and I actually made some notes. So
Okay.
I'll run them out because I know you'll have some response, and then we'll
Yeah.
finish up. The bottom line is that the San Francisco Chiefs, see you Christmas. Kansas City Chiefs won Super Bowl 58. They beat my Niners. And I I've seen so much of these responses. I've gone back, excuse me, and tried to look at film. I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi or I don't know if they're just getting so much demand for the film, but the replays from the NFL just stink. I mean, things freezing. It's just not worth. But I was trying to rewatch the game because I had a lot of questions. Even people putting out that it's fixed. You know, they were talking about Mahomes ran out of bounds. It was
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
So I went back to I wanted to see it. But you know
Right.
what we have to do, and this is my fault. I read those game summaries that the NFL puts out. And
Right.
they have codes beside them and things. And I don't know what those codes mean. I could not find out. I tried to find out, but right around that time, there were some codes going on. And I think that this is what I suspect. Whoever put that out, cut that film up so that it looked.
Cut the film?
Yeah, they edited the film. So you went from this to that so that they could say that it was fixed.
Oh, whoever came up with the idea that it was fixed, did they?
Right. I think they edited that film, to be quite honest. The challenge, every time I tried to go to that section on my playback on NFL Plus, I got the sorry, the replay's not working deal. So that don't help the people who are claiming, the conspiracy theorists doesn't help them at all. Okay.
Well, let me see something here.
Are you leaning kind of close in there?
Third one. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to read something. It's really small. I was trying to find it. That happened in overtime, correct?
No, fourth quarter, minute 36,
Fourth quarter?
minute 26, about in the fourth quarter, somewhere around.
Oh, okay.
They were driving down toward getting that field goal to tie.
Oh, right. That was the final
And remember,
drive
he
before
ran
the
out
field
of
goal.
bounds.
It was a
He
minute.
out to the right, ran out of bounds, and it was at first, and this or either that or they messed up on the camera in terms of the
Or
downs that
what
they're showing.
what I believe happened and what I think I heard happen was that there may have been an indication that a first down had been achieved when in fact it had not. They were a little bit short. It kind of fooled the broadcast crew who made it first down again. And then he ran. He got 2 yards, and that got him the first down. And it did say on television, but now I'm looking at the play-by-play here. At a minute 37, out of the shotgun, Pat Mahomes scrambles right, and ran out of bounds at the Kansas City 37 for 3 yards.
What down and
That
distance
was
at this point?
that was 2nd and 1. Let me
Second
go
and
back.
one.
Oh, wait. Let me go to the play before that.
Ball?
So the play before that was 1st and 10. Mahomes passed short right to Kelsey for 9 yards. So they were 1 yard short.
And he ran for at least 3 yards.
And he ran, it says here he ran 3 yards.
Right. So that would have
And
been
then the next
10.
play is 1st and 10.
But somehow, somewhere they had second down down there, like, and that's
right. 132, he ran for 12 yards. And then it said 1st and 10 again, which it would have been at 114. So the pass to Kelsey actually was a little short. It was a 9-yard play. I have to watch again to see if the referee actually gave the first down signal. But in fact, on television, they did put that it was first down.
Right.
And it really wasn't. And guess what? The players knew. He leisurely ran for that 2 yards, 3 yards, and got that first down like it was no big deal. So I don't.
All right.
I think the television crew screwed up.
Okay.
But that's beside the point. People are always going to be looking. This rig thing is really a big deal now for some strange reason.
And they've got, so I'll set that aside for right now.
Okay.
I want to start off by saying, Ben, because you and I actually had a back and forth a little bit on this. The team that can make the other team play 11 on 11 football has a decided advantage.
Okay.
And that's what Kansas City did when they needed to do what they needed to do. And they needed that first down. He went 11 and 11. He had a triple option. He could have thrown it. He could have handed it off. He or ran it. He had a triple option. And you said something about Mahomes running. I saw Bosa bounce off of Mahomes at one point. And I'm thinking to myself, Mahomes is probably the most, I'm going to say inconspicuous, for lack of a better word, athlete in terms of his strength and speed. Like, he doesn't look as strong or as fast, but guys, when they go to tackle him, sometimes they just, it don't happen. And you thinking this is a 6'3", 6'5" tight end, or excuse me, defensive end or whatever. So he's a very interesting athlete in terms of that. But I believe that really made the difference, because once they went to that, our defense was not ready for that. We did not assign any type of a spy. Once they started those option plays, we didn't make any adjustments there. Also, I'll alert, I don't know if you heard this, I understand Steve Wilkes has been relieved of his duties.
Yes, today.
And I also saw one of our other coaches was poached by the Commanders.
Okay.
I'm going to start out at the beginning of the game, early in the beginning of the game. Trent Williams' holding calls were just killers. One killed a beautiful Kittle's reception for first down. And we kept looking up, and you kept seeing 2nd or 3rd and 20. It was like early in the game, and I'm like, man, didn't I? And I really haven't heard a lot of conversation about that. It's just a mention or two here and there. But holding calls are killers. That 10 yards is a big penalty. That's
Yes,
a big penalty, and you get one of those running plays like Shanahan likes to run behind the line of scrimmage, and you lose 2, and then you got a holding play, and now you lost 12 total, and it's 3rd and, like I said, 20 or something like that. that was those things really hurt in the beginning of the game, and that's from your best. That was your best tackle. The guy rated 99 on Madden that was having that particular issue. So the gamesmanship, I thought it was interesting when
Can I say something about that real
sure,
fast?
sure.
One of the Kansas City tackles leads the league in holding penalties, and he had a good game.
Well, we
Okay?
mentioned they had when they asked Bosa about the Chiefs, he said they hold a lot, you know.
He leads the entire league in holding penalties. One guy.
One guy.
And I don't think he had one that game.
Oh my
He
God.
may have, I don't know. But I know it wasn't that big a deal. He played well.
Transferred that spirit over to Trent Williams or something.
So again, that's one of those any given Sunday things.
Well, yeah, and it definitely didn't help. But it did give me that much more respect for Purdy because he never threw anybody under the bus. Okay.
Right.
Never threw anybody under the bus. I was surprised that Kansas City decided to defer on the opening, on the coin toss at the beginning of the game.
You?
Yeah. And I'll tell you
I
what.
thought that was your thing.
It is my thing. It is my thing. But
okay,
I kept hearing about Kansas City scoring on their opening drives so successfully that I was like, I'm going to take the ball and go for it. And then when they deferred, I'm like, ooh, uh-oh, what's going on here? So I was just a little surprised. Yeah, I put my defense out there first pretty much all the time. So that was interesting. We had the one trick play that we scored on. And I heard someone, and on one of the commentators say, okay, now that you've had your trick play, now you got to play football, you know? And so much of what Kyle Shanahan does with the misdirection and the back and forth and everything, like you said, the Kansas City defense, they held up well. My Niners held up pretty well early on in terms of controlling Mahomes, from rolling left and right. But then after that, he ran up the middle. You can't cover everything. You know what I mean? So they made great adjustments. A lot of what helped us lose the game, special teams. You have a block extra.
That was big. That was big.
Instead of it being 4, it's 3. If it's 4, now the other team has to score a touchdown. Their choices in play calling and your choices in defense all change. That was big. And then on the muffed punt return, well, again, interesting. The punt returner saw it hit his man's foot, but he didn't jump on the ball. He tried to
scoop
it up. He tried to scoop it.
That's an error. That's a mistake.
Got to jump on that ball, man. That's the first thing you got to do is secure the route,
The ball hitting the guy's foot, that can happen. That guy was trying to execute a block.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know where the ball is.
That's and his recognition of that it hit his foot he saw that.
Yeah, when they point with 2 hands like this, they holler out a code word that tells the guys to get out of the way. But that guy, I think, was already engaged in a block.
That's right.
So he couldn't run away. Okay. And the ball bounced, hitting right on his foot. But at that point, the return man has got to fall on the ball. You have to fall on that ball. You can't try to pick it up. That was an error.
Yeah, So I think as usual that Kittle needs to be in the receiving patterns a lot more than when blocking. I think you got enough talent on that team. If you got to put somebody else in at tight end, I don't care if it's Juszczyk or Werner or any of the other guys, if they're going to be mainly blocking. But I just believe that Kittle's being wasted as a receiver. And trying to force Debo into the backfield running back position. I think that's getting a little old now. Teams are, you can't even misdirect with him anymore. They're just gonna sit back and watch what happens.
They're ready for that already.
They're ready for that. Yeah.
Chris Jones said they ran the fly sweep with Debo. Then he came out in the same formation. He ran a dive play. And I think he was talking about the play where in the overtime when he tried to throw it to Juwan Jennings and Chris Jones was on his neck.
Well,
they were ready. They knew that you can't. There's certain things that you have to. The trick play I thought was wonderful. Caught him completely off guard. It was blocked excellently. That's wonderful. But you got to do some things with, if you don't have new plays, you have to do some different things out of formations they've already seen, or you've got to do some of the same things out of different formations. If you don't do that, you're cooked. These guys don't have nothing else to do but sit around and watch film. And they will be ready. They'll be ready.
Yeah. And again, if you're running people behind the line of scrimmage and the play gets busted, now you've lost yardage.
That's true.
Not going up field on that. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. I know you like this. The winning Super Bowl play. How many times have we seen that?
Bro, it's corn dog. They did it to the Eagles twice last year.
On each side.
One on each side, and they came right back and did it to you. Oh my God. As soon as they ran it, and you know, I told you I wasn't going to call or text you during the game because I knew you were going to be in the game. But as soon as they did, I was like, no.
I thought about it like, oh my God. No, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
And they call it corn dog, of all things. That's the name of the play. That's crazy.
No, it's like as soon as I saw him in that formation, I was like, what are you going to do? And I saw him coming back, and I saw the defensive back going with him. I'm like, nah, yeah, you got to play. Basically, you got to play zone in that situation. You got to just be there and let it come back to you.
They reacted to it exactly the way the Eagles reacted to it.
Yeah. Now that I believe is a coaching error. Those guys that play should not have been any type of surprise at that situation.
Nope. Especially down close. Especially down.
Yeah.
That's the only time they run it. Especially down close. You got to be. Now, when they get in the film session during the week, when they get inside the 7, we got to look for this play.
You know, that's like when the Patriots played the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And what you call them, intercepted the ball at the goal line.
Right. They practiced that play.
Yep. They're looking for that play. They were looking for that defensive play. They practiced that defense against that play. And he said, saw it, he went right to it. He knew to go right to it.
And the funny thing is, during that week, they scored on it every time.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're like, dude, I was telling you what they go do. But when it counted, he got the pick. So yeah, that's true. That's preparation. I don't put a whole lot of so people are beating up Purdy, especially Shannon Sharp, who I think was very unfair in his analysis of Purdy in that game. I didn't like what he was saying at all. And I think he was fighting a fight that I'm glad Orlovsky and Saturday gave him some backlash on what he was saying, because I think he was really going in too hard on Purdy. That was kind of crazy. And Shanahan's getting a lot of backlash about winning the coin toss for the overtime and taking the ball first. Now, the funny thing is, analytics says that's what you do. Now, I'm not saying he did it because that's what analytics says, but analytics does say that you take the ball first in that overtime. With these new rules, I would treat it the same way as I would treat overtime in one of our flag football games, where you get one play from the 2-yard line and then the other team gets a chance to get the ball from the 2-yard line. If both teams score, they just move you back a little bit, and you do it again. You always want to go on defense first so that you know what it is that you need to get. In the NFL, with this new rule like it is, again, they kept saying on television, you get an extra down. What they mean is you know that you're in 4-down territory as soon as you get the ball. I don't care if it's 4th and 1 on your own freaking 10. You know you're going for it because you know the only way you can win this game is to score a touchdown or tie it with a field. So that does give an advantage to the other team. It does. It's a small advantage. Now, I can understand why he may have wanted to take. I think he messed himself up in his explanation of why he wanted to take
But he
the
said
ball
the
first.
defense was gassed, and he wanted to give his defense.
Well, that was the wrong thing to say. Even if it was true, and even if that's what he believed, he should have never said that. Sometimes these coaches get themselves into trouble for saying too much or saying things they don't need to say. I wanted the ball first because I knew I was confident that we could score, and I wanted to put the pressure on them. That's all he had to say.
Well, let me say again, lastly, I talked about Purdy being as good as his offensive line. He was very good.
He was very good.
Very good. And again, he was put in many situations that, just bad situations. The holding calls just kept putting them in bad situations.
Right.
And so, but I said this before, and I'll say it again. Purdy don't shiver, Purdy don't shake. And if there's one thing you can say about him, it's that. No game is too big. The situation is not too large. Not saying the one then when we were down on the goal line, our offensive guard, I believe, what's his name? Chris Jones. Nobody touched. Right. I mean,
right. If he just chips in, that's a touchdown.
It's a touchdown. And what's less, Ayuk's man fell down, and Ayuk standing in the back of the end zone with nobody near him.
Right. That's another reason I wanted to see replay of this game. I heard all 3 of their receivers were open. I think Kittle or Debo was open too. They said they had 3 guys open on that play.
The guy was probably the least open of the 3.
They all beat their cover.
They're supposed to go to.
Right.
But how do you not even recognize who that guy is?
Right. If I don't get nobody, I got to get him.
Yeah. If you don't get nobody else, that's the guy to get. So, and that's one of those things where the people be talking about, it was rigged. How do you not get that?
Bruh,
but
that's seen football, man.
We've seen mind farts and boneheaded plays aplenty, in our time. And so nothing really surprises us. Everybody was out there, I believe, giving their best effort. Shanahan is still my coach. I'm happy about it. There's things I wish he would do differently. But he gets us there, and I do believe that if you knock on the door enough, at some point you're going to get through that door, So the quest for 6 continues. We had 2 sets of stats last week, so I was emotionally prepared for any outcome because one set of my net point rankings and bias said Niners, and the other one said Kansas City, and that other the Kansas City one was completely different.
When we first started talking, I made it. Wanted to make sure that I let everybody know about how I felt about the game and how I thought both defenses played extremely well, and how after the game, all of a sudden, Mahomes is God and Purdy stinks, and the Kansas City defense is tremendous, and the Niners defense, which was supposed to be better, is horrible. And people are, this up and down, this is crazy. These defenses both played extremely well, and in fact, were very, very close. Let me just run this down to you really fast. The Kansas City defense recorded 1 sack on Purdy. The Niners defense had 3 sacks on Mahomes. The Chiefs defense had 4 tackles for loss. The Niners had 6 tackles for loss. The Chiefs were able to hit Purdy 11 times. The Niners hit Mahomes 7 times. It was really, really close. Both defenses played extremely well against 2 of the, well, some people may not consider the Chiefs a great offense if you look at them over the course of the season, but because they have Mahomes and he is the greatest quarterback ever, so I heard, then that means we got 2 really good offenses here. And this game went down to the wire. Had 2 great comebacks at the end of regulation and in the overtime. And those people that want to, again, beat up on Purdy, when he left the field, he had the lead.
When he left the field, he had the lead. He also had one of the highest pressure rates. He might not have one of the highest sack rates, but apparently pressure like 40% of the time.
Yeah,
So,
well, guess what? He threw the ball pretty well for that kind of pressure.
Pretty well, even though he's a highly pressured quarterback. And I think I mentioned to you a long time ago, I said, I don't think that our offensive line is that great. We got one really great guy, and everybody else is a little. So if there's, we know if there's one area that if we can shore up that offensive line, put a little depth there, you know what I mean?
Right.
Sure. Right. Get that pressure rate maybe down to 30 or 25% or something like that. Purdy will he'll, for lack of a better word, he'll myrtleize you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Purdy, you know, he's accurate. He's got Romo said people say he don't have a big arm. He's got plenty of arm.
Got plenty on him.
As long as you got plenty, that's fine. You ain't got to have the biggest arm in the world. He got plenty of arm, and he's accurate. You know, processes quickly, you know, and he'll get better at processing at the line of scrimmage, and hopefully they'll
experience.
But they'll
second-year quarterback.
Have a little more confidence that he can make an adjustment at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Know? And maybe some of those plays that are going nowhere because they're running right into the blocking. You know, I saw one play. It was like, this is why Shanahan gets in trouble, because it was a misdirection. Everybody in the Niners offense went that way. Purdy rolled this way, and everybody on the Kansas City defense was on that side. There was like 4 people looking him in the face from Kansas City. I'm like, oh, that didn't work too well. If he had handed it off going in the other direction, there was nobody over there. They were all over here waiting for Purdy.
So they didn't follow the blocking.
No, no, they didn't. So
that was if in fact it was a misdirection play, then they were banking on them flowing with that, which I think at different points in the game they did run plays similar to that, and the defense did flow. But sometimes they don't. Again, they may have seen a formation that tipped them off. You know, sometimes when use check is in the game, they do certain things that they don't do when he's not in the game. There's all kinds of reads and keys. You know what I mean? So there's no telling what they saw.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not, Benny. All right, so if you got nothing more to say about the Super Bowl, we'll just jump on our page, talk about a few current events real fast, and
that sounds good.
Wrap this puppy up.
Kansas City Chiefs have scored touchdowns on 7 of their opening drives, including 3 in their last 4 games. And they deferred.
That Andy Reid guy. And you know, it's funny. Just looking back at Andy Reid's career has to give you some perspective on how hard it is to win a Super Bowl and what happens when someone early in their career gets there and doesn't win. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the narratives start as, can he win the big one, blah, 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 blah. If he hangs around long enough, you know, he probably will. Andy Reid's not the coach now that he was with the Eagles. He's much better. And so what can I tell you? You know? All right, Benny, let's take a quick look at our Facebook page. We're going to start here. The home teams have been announced for the NFL International Games. Mr. Adam Schefter posts on social media. We have the Eagles in Sao Paulo, Brazil. London is going to have the Bears, the Vikings, and the Jaguars. These are all hosts.
3 games?
3 games in London, Tottenham,
Wow.
and then Wembley. And then the Panthers for the first game in Munich, Germany.
Okay.
Those are the designated host teams. We will find out who the visiting team will be at some particular point. You had your finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame revealed. And Steve McMichael fighting to make it to Canton. I don't know if you saw his story. He has ALS.
Yeah.
He's in those final stages of ALS. This ain't
Yeah.
This is Steve can barely turn his head,
Right.
So sending all the best for him and his family. This is an article from Entrepreneur that I've included. Anybody who's interested can learn a little bit about business if they know a little bit about football, because they say running a business is a lot like playing football. So, got to call a huddle. The funny thing about the overtime rules, and you mentioned it, couple things. One, I did some research, and for the most part, like whoever wins the flip and all of that type of stuff, it's still basically 50-50 as to who wins the game. So,
Right.
there's no
Right.
evidence either way for that. But I was talking to our friend Mark Russell, and Mark Russell was like, "What are you talking about? You score a touchdown, you should win the game." I'm like, no. I'm like, the only reason I knew what was going on, the only reason is because in Madden, at the end of a tie, and if these are exhibition games, they use the playoff rules. And I totally remember being in an overtime situation, winning the toss, going down, scoring a touchdown, and then
And the other team got the ball.
all of a sudden I'm kicking off and I'm in a complete state of confusion. Why am I kicking the ball off? I just scored. So,
And I remember you telling me that, and that occurred before they changed the official rule. You told me that a while. They just changed this rule.
well, it's been like about 2 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
Okay. 2 years.
Yeah,
But you know why they changed it, right?
yeah, because a couple times you had people like Mahomes never got a chance to touch the ball. Then
Or
Bills.
Mahomes got the ball first and Josh Allen didn't get a chance to
Right,
touch
that
it.
was the other one, Josh Allen.
That's why they changed.
Yeah, I mean, well, Mahomes set it up, and then Josh.
Yeah,
Allen,
but it was shootout games with the Bills that really got it going.
got it done.
So now, again, people are assassinating him because his team, a lot of the players said they didn't know the rules. Number one, this is just me talking. Number one, you're an NFL football player and you don't know the rule, bro.
Ben,
Stop it.
I'm with you 100%. That was my exact same thought.
Number two,
that's a
he's
rule
the head coach. He's the head coach. He's got an entire staff of like 20 people. None of them ever said, "Hey, coach, we should talk about the overtime." It's all on him.
The funny part of this is I still have some issues. I think that part of our issues are special teams. And I haven't heard the special teams coordinator take any heat at all.
Thank you.
So let's just throw that out there. He gets a little bit of heat too.
Yep.
Your player should know to jump on that ball. B, and I don't know whether special teams gets the blame for this. I don't know if on the block extra kick, if the ball was kicked low or if the line just gave way too much penetration and they were able to block it.
From the one look that I remember they gave from behind the defense, it looked like he kicked it low to me.
Could
I
have.
didn't see the guys penetrate. They basically made contact and then jump.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It might have been a little bit of both. A little bit of
yeah,
both, you know. So, but that goes back to special teams coordinator, you know. So yeah, it was a total team loss. It was a great, I believe it was a great game. I believe that they did the best that they could. We know that our defense was having some issues down the stretch. The one stat that came out when I averaged the last 3 weeks, and was that our defense dropped precipitously in terms of the rankings, in terms of the points that they were giving up. So we know that there was some issues there. And then there was the issue about whether or not there was enough hustle in the conference championship game. So there were some questions there. I thought that Bosa,
they cleaned that up though.
they did.
As I said they would.
I thought that, I give Bosa a lot of criticism in many cases because I believe that he doesn't box as well as he should when you've got a mobile quarterback. He tends to, want to go right in, like he's going to make the tackle. I even saw him one time in the game spin to the inside. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
spin to the inside on, against your block. And with Mahomes back there, he sees
Not with Patrick Mahomes. If Kirk Cousins is back there, spin away, my brother.
spin away.
Spin away. Okay? But you have to read the room. That's Pat Mahomes back there. You think he's not looking a team? They may not run the option, read option, triple option, whatever. They may not run it a lot. It may not be a staple in their offense, but they do have it. And they have a quarterback that can hurt you. So you just cannot go into a game with that mindset. That's suicide.
They use it in money time because 11 on 11 gives you an advantage,
It does give you an advantage.
So
It doesn't give you a decided advantage, but it gives you an advantage.
we can argue over the word decided if you want, but it
That's all I'm
it helped
saying.
decide this game as far as I'm concerned.
In the end, it did. Because those two runs
4th and 1
gave him the yes. And he ran for like 8 yards. And then the second one was like darn near a 19-yarder. One broke tackle, he could have scored.
I kept hearing the announcer on that 4th and 1 coming. Niners get a stop, they win the Super Bowl. Didn't happen. So hopefully the team will stay pretty much together for next year. And we'll make the few upgrades that we need to make in terms of the line. And maybe Shanahan will loosen up a little bit and give Kittle his due, because I do believe.
Just remembered something else.
What's that?
That 4th and 1, they actually came out and lined up. And the Niners lined up. It looked like they had everybody on the line of scrimmage. They were stacked. They were man, and they were sending pressure. And if you remember, the announcer, who's the announcer with Romo? Jim Nance? I forget.
Something like that.
They called timeout. And he said,
That the one where Shanahan didn't like the defense?
Shanahan didn't like the defense, and he made Wilkes change the defense.
Change the defense. Was that?
Oh, I remember that.
That was
he
the
made
play.
Change the defense, and that gave him the opening to run.
Oh my goodness.
That gave him the opening to run. There was nowhere to go. And then Steve Wilkes gets fired.
I know.
He's got to feel some kind of way, man.
Well, the things weren't completely smooth with Wilkes as it was. They made him come down from the booth to the sideline and all of that kind of stuff during the season.
Yeah, I think they were thinking their defense should have been better statistically according to the names of the players that they had, and also the rushing defense wasn't what they thought it should have been.
There's no doubt about that. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that. All right. A little bit of Black History Month. We have a little article here. Joe Perry, the first Black NFL MVP.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Joe Perry. I remember Joe Perry played for the Colts.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. See, you remember that stuff. How about Emlyn Tunnell, Hall of
Ooh,
Famer?
yeah.
Man.
Wow. Emlyn Tunnell. Emlyn Tunnell. I want to say he played for the Lions. I could be wrong on that one.
Okay. Well, go to Ben and Barry on Football on Facebook and you can find out. And we have Sandra Douglas Morgan, the first Black female NFL team president. Little current Black history going on there.
Oh,
So a lot of good stuff going on. And then we'll finish it up with a little fun as we hear Tua on the guitar.
oh my goodness. Oh, you know what? That's right. He played a little guitar on there was a Monday night game and I was watching the Manning cast. And they brought him on as one of the guests on the Manning cast and he played a little guitar.
Okay. Shades
Excuse
up.
me. Emlyn Tunnell is from Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, was from Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, and went to Radnor High School.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yep. And where did he start? He played for the Giants. Played for the Giants and the Packers. I know Emlyn. I just couldn't.
Couldn't pull it.
Yeah, he played for the Giants and he played for the Packers.
Awesome. Fantastic.
And he's the first Black Hall of Famer?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Early on.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
I'm done. What do you got?
That's it for me.
Well, one more time again to all of our people listening in, a happy St. Valentine's Day. We'll send out all of our best to the Kansas City faithful.
Oh, yeah.
Today's tragedy. Excuse me, today's tragedy. I don't even know what to say. Once I heard 4 people had been shot, that makes mass shooting.
Yep.
That's how it's going to be carried. And our website, www.benandbarryonfootball.com. We're on Facebook. I'm on Threads with us. We're on Instagram, obviously YouTube, where this video will go up. And our hashtag is football is life. That's it for me.
Me too.
Peace.
Catch y'all later.